Hello and good morning, everyone. I'm Courtney Chu, the leader of marketing at Technical Safety BC. I'm joining you this morning from the unceded territory of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh Nations, and I want to extend my appreciation for the opportunity to live and work here with my family on this shared territory. Thank you to all of you for joining us this morning for our 45-minute session on transforming how we do assessment. Before I introduce our speakers, I do want to go over a few housekeeping items. Many of you are probably well-versed with Zoom by now, having attended many meetings and webinars at this point. But for those of you who are less familiar with Zoom, I'm just going to cover off some of the tools that we're going to be using today. By default, this webinar is view only, which means that you will not have access to your mics or cameras. That being said, if you do have any technical questions that you need assistance with, please use the chat function by clicking the chat icon at the bottom of your screen and type your question into the chat panel, and we can reach out to you to help you. We're also going to be using polls during our session, and we encourage everyone to participate. When a polling question is asked, it will appear on your screen along with the options. You simply make your selection and press submit. Alongside the chat function is the Q&A button. Please use this function if you'd like to submit any questions about the presentation. We won't have time to get to all of your questions live during the session, but all questions and answers will be shared at the end of the session on our Engage tool, Engage.technicalsafetybc. Many of you have already visited this site prior to our session, but we'll be using Engage to share updates on assessments and to share poll and survey results. So make sure you visit the Engage page and register for any topic updates. As a note, today's presentation will also be recorded and portions of the event will be shared on our website. So now that we've covered off housekeeping items, let's get started in our presentation. Today, we're going to provide a brief overview of how we're working with clients to create a more efficient, responsive safety system. This is going to be followed by an opportunity for you to provide feedback and ask questions about how we can work together to transform assessment. Feel free to submit your questions throughout the presentation. With that, I'd like to introduce our presenters. Lisa Peacock-Lee, Technical Safety BC's Director of Operations, Shiv Kumar, our Director of Operations Excellence, and Gabe Lim, our Product Leader.
Thank you so much, Courtney. Good morning, everyone. I'm joining from Burnaby, which is located on the traditional and unceded territories of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh Nations. We're excited to talk to you today about how we're transforming assessments. There have been a lot of changes in our world in the past few years, and we've all needed to adapt to meet the challenges, opportunities, and priorities of these demanding times. We've made a number of updates on how we conduct assessments, and these are anchored in our key strategic priorities: identifying, evaluating, prioritizing, and addressing hazards, providing value and promoting safety-minded behaviors, sharing data and acting on insights to create a safety information ecosystem, lowering unnecessary barriers to access and participation in the safety system, prioritizing long-term sustainability, and developing a culture that's innovative and dynamic. Today, we want to share with you how these strategic priorities are translated to assessments and get under the hood of how we're using inspections to enhance safety at scale and reduce barriers for businesses. We want to highlight two areas where we made updates to the way we conduct assessments and continue to strengthen our focus for our clients, partners, and key stakeholders. So first of all, some of you will recall that at the onset of the pandemic, we launched remote assessments. Partly out of necessity and answering the call to flatten the curve, remote assessments enabled continuity and services at a time when the balance between safe technical systems and the safety of people was uncertain. We've come a long way since then, and our product leader, Gabe Lim, will provide a demo of the Remote Assessment mobile app, a tool focused on simpler, more digital experiences so that administrative activities are streamlined at the time, so that the time that you spend with our safety officers is focused on higher value opportunities. We also look to enhance these opportunities by targeting higher risk activities. Another area where we are advancing safety at scale and reducing barriers is through our structured resource allocation program. Leveraging machine learning to support our technical experts, assessments are structured in a way to focus on problematic areas. Strong performers can quickly navigate the assessment process and move on to running their business. Our Director of Operations Excellence will share more on how the system works, and we encourage you to ask questions as they come up in the chat. So without further ado, I'd like to hand this over to my colleague and friend, Shiv Kumar.
Thank you, Lisa. Next slide, please. So hello and good morning, everyone. So assessments is a very important tool from an oversight perspective. And as an organization, we recognize that it's one of our key services that we provide our clients across the province. So one of the ways we've been scaling our assessment approach is through our structured resource allocation program, which uses data-driven tools like machine learning and system rules to direct our efforts towards the highest risk areas. The structured resource allocation program prioritizes assessment work in the field because we have capacity to see only a fraction of all regulated equipment and work. So structuring our safety officer focus using a risk-based program allows us to direct assessment work where it's needed the most. This is how we achieve safety at scale. As a financially independent and self-sustaining organization, the fees that we charge our clients covers the actual costs of providing essential safety services. So by scaling our oversight in a financially sustainable way, not only benefits us, but also our clients through fair and sustainable fees. And by having our safety offices focus on the highest risk areas, it creates capacity to continue to build relationships between our clients and safety officers, which is crucial to informing better safety behavior, whether it's through educating clients on best practices, being a resource to answer questions, or working with you to correct hazards found. Next slide, please. So the structured resource allocation program initiated in 2018, and we currently have gas and electrical technologies fully implemented in the program. And we're looking to expand this to other technologies, including elevating, boilers, pressure vessels, and refrigeration. The structured resource allocation program supports safety officer decision-making. By using technology with its strength in computing large amounts of data efficiently, combined with safety officers' technical knowledge and knowledge of sites and clients is what makes technical safety's assessment practices most effective. As assessments are requested, our systems assess the information based on permit application and safety performance data to essentially derive a risk score. The risk score is provided to our safety officers who use their expertise to determine whether a further assessment is required. The machine learning algorithms are dynamic and adapts with data inputs from safety officers. As the algorithm receives more feedback from the field, it adjusts and improves its ability to predict high hazards. Those insights inform the decisions of our safety officers about what they will assess in the field, enabling them to focus on the assessments where they're most likely to find a safety hazard. So the combination of technology and expertise enables us to target the highest risk systems while optimizing efficiency and effort. And in addition to machine learning, our systems also use decision rules based on specific risk tolerance considerations. For example, we consider if the work was performed by a qualified or an unqualified individual, which would inform our assessment priority. So once the machine learning score or system rule has been applied, safety officers use their expertise to determine whether a further assessment, and this could be in person or remote, is required. So in-person inspections are performed when we deem them to be critical to the safety system, and remote assessments are based on the same principles as in-person inspections with an emphasis on hazard identification. They are similar to audits and include review of documentation, photos, videos, video conference, and also speaking with the client through phone, video calls, and email. So enhancing protocols around remote assessment expands our reach and safety oversight, And Gabe will talk about this further to kind of let you know what we've been up to.
Thank you, Shiv. Hello, everyone. My name is Gabriel Lim. I'm a product leader here at Technical Safety BC, and I work on assessments. For those of you who attended the Transforming Assessments breakout session at Core Connections last year, hello again. For those of you who it's your first breakout session for assessments, welcome. To recap, last year, we had a few clients join our breakout session to share their experiences with remote assessments. And bear in mind, when we stood up the remote assessments program last year, it was quickly to react to the the COVID situation. So for those clients that attended, thank you again to Lori, Tony, and Chris. Your help was much appreciated. And it has really set us on a path for the last year. So to recap our last session, last year, we heard a few key themes, some good. So submitting photos for remote assessments has actually helped to improve work quality and safety control. And we learned that through the process of taking photos and submitting that to Technical Safety BC, our clients were using those photos as training tools, benchmarking tools to help educate their workforce. So the photos were useful. On the flip side, remote assessments has actually helped with planning for all those involved. So whether you're a contractor, a mechanic certified individual, the remote assessments, you could plan your day around it and do multiple assessments as opposed to just one. We heard some bad. The photos don't show a complete picture of the site. Sending and labeling photos was a pain. So this was taking a photo, obviously labeling it something that reflected what the photo was, and then sending that to Technical Safety BC. And we heard this one a lot, which was, I'm unsure what photos are required. And then how do I actually take photos of equipment? So once I know what photos to take, how do I actually take that photo? I heard a lot of, I'm not a photographer. And we'll address some of that in the app. And then more importantly, we heard some suggestions for improvement. So we heard a couple of things, a fill in the box approach. We also heard a structured way to complete a remote assessment. And in a nutshell, what we heard was a desire for a mobile app experience. And we actually had a couple of clients just basically tell us we want this to be a mobile app. And that's the path that we proceeded down by, with one caveat that mobile app had to work without an internet connection, which it was a challenge. But I am really pleased to announce that over the past year, the team has been hard at work. I know I'm speaking to you today, but there is a large team that has been building and working on this app. And what we've done is select a specific inspection type and technology to pilot a remote assessments app prototype. So bear in mind, this is only for one technology, one assessment type, and the app is at this point in time just a prototype. So for this prototype, we've chosen construction hoist extension assessments, obviously in the elevating technology, and we've chosen that assessment type to begin with. But as we learn more through the prototype and as we learn about scaling this prototype, we will be looking to expand to other use cases, other technologies, and other inspection types. In order to build the app, we've had to work with our clients to scope out and develop a prototype version. So thank you again so much to Steve, Tony, and the team, Candice, Aaron, Tio, and the team over there, Mark and Brennan, any of you, all of those of you who participated in our interview sessions. And we wanted to take a different approach when we built this app, which was to build it collaboratively with our clients who operated in that specific inspection space. To develop this app, we also have tried to incorporate as many modern product management practices. So you can see up here, it's research and design, test and refine, develop, and pilot. We've tried to include discovery sessions with our clients, basically asking them, what does their day look like? What are the biggest problems that they face? Design and usability tests. So once we have a design up, we'll bring that to our clients, ask them what they think, what works, what doesn't work. And then through usability tests, go through the process of testing our hypotheses, like this is the right way to structure this specific flow of how the app should be done. And then we also showed mock-ups of our app to our clients as we were building it, just so that we could keep up with the amount of changes and feedback that our clients had, and we built the app that would serve their needs. I am, and the team are pleased to announce that we will begin our prototype pilot shortly, and just really excited to share those results of the pilot with everyone soon. So with that, I will now show a live demo of the app. Let's see if I can do it here. So just sharing my screen. So for this app, for this specific session, I've already logged in. But if you are in our case, a mechanic working on a construction hoist extension assessment, you would log in using client portal ID. So we're just using client portal ID. Once you've logged in, you'll see an assessment dashboard. This dashboard shows all of your pending, completed, submitted, as well as approved or declined assessments. You can see there are 3 tabs here. Pending, this specific assessment that we see now on screen, this has not started, and it is pending, sitting on the mechanics view to basically begin this assessment. We see here in progress. So in progress, we have submitted and basically in progress. And what we wanted to build was the ability to stop the assessment, go do something else, and then start again from the point that you had stopped at. And that's what in progress means. Submitted means that you've submitted the requirements over to the safety officer, and the safety officer is currently reviewing those requirements. Once the safety officer, we don't have any in approved right now, but once the safety officer has approved of an assessment, it would show up in approved, and the mechanic would be able to go into that assessment and see the photos and declarations that were provided. For today's session, I do want to show the startup assessment. So once you do click into this assessment, you'll see more details. And we just tried to pull out the most important information for the mechanic at this point in time, which is what is that assessment? What is the unit number on the site address, of course, the assessment type, as well as the assigned safety officer. The mechanic can then click on Start Assessment. Once they begin the assessment, they're greeted with an assessment overview. We've split this construction hoist extension assessment into 7 categories. And with that, we've just tried to group up as many items that the mechanic would have to do. A couple of things here. One, at the top at showing, or you can basically start at any point and you can do them out of sequence. What we've built in this app is the mechanic can start from bottom to top. So the shoring is at the bottom and then all the way to the top of car. And we built that collaboratively with our clients. So you can start anywhere that you'd like, and you can do it out of sequence. So I'm not going to go through the entire inspection, but I will go through maybe just a couple of sections here. So I'm going to start at base of hoist. And another thing I want to draw your attention to is you'll see here on the side at status, they're all pending right now, which means that the mechanic would need to complete them. So we'll just tap into base of hoist. Within base of hoist, if we recall back to some feedback that I shared earlier in this presentation, which was, I don't know what photos I need to provide. Like there isn't a structure to the assessment. Here we've provided a checklist, and within that checklist, the mechanic would just simply have to follow through the path that has been laid out. So I'll start at foundation inspection. The directions, so this is a photo that's required. The directions in this specific step is to take a photo of the pit from the bottom landing to show that the pit is free of debris. So we tried our best, and in some situations we couldn't make it as simple as this, but we tried our best to have really clear instructions to the mechanic to take the photo. And if we're still in doubt, the mechanic at this point is still in doubt of what photo to take, there is also a sample photo here to show the mechanic how to take that photo and what should be seen by the safety officer. So I'm going to go ahead and take this photo. I'm going to take it outside. Take that there. And once I've taken the photo, you can put it into the app. You can add any notes if required, or you can add another photo. For the purpose of today, I'm just going to click save and exit. Then I'm on to my next task. You can see I've completed foundation inspection. I'm on to grade level enclosure at this point. Grade level enclosure is a declaration that's required. And so at this point, the mechanic would read this declaration and understand what is needed. So I declared that the grade level enclosure is compliant with this specific code, Z1856.1. Go ahead and make sure that that's compliant, and then click on declare, and I can save and exit. Again, I do see that there's a little checkbox there to tell me that this is complete. I'm just going to go ahead and complete all of this. Again, a declaration here, save and exit, material stored around the hoist, take a photo of the bottom platform. Here's a little sample photo. Take that photo and proceed. No notes here. Just going to go ahead and complete all of these. Again, bottom run by. Save and exit. Non-slipping access. So I realize it's catching up. So at non-slipping access, we do have a variance from our usual component of the take a photo. Here we have this little box, and in this little box, the mechanic has the ability to either opt in or opt out of equipment. Understanding construction extension assessments here, construction hoist extensions, not every assessment will have non-slipping access. So in this situation, I'm the mechanic. There is no non-slipping access. I can either opt out and say this is not applicable, and you can see it grays out the take photo and the notes portion, or I can opt in and then it's available again. For the purpose of today, I'm going to opt out. And I'll complete disposal chutes. Again, opting out, saving and exit. So you can see I've completed the entire base of hoist section. I'm going to save and exit, and that will change to now completed. So I'm not going to go through this whole thing, but I did want to draw everyone's attention to two more areas. One is floors added. So construction hoist extension assessments, those are basically jumps. When the building goes higher, then these are required. It shouldn't be first, second, or third floor, or fourth floor, but for these assessment types, when these assessments are scheduled, we will pre-populate the app with the floors that are required for that specific assessment. So whether that's the 5th to the 9th floor or the 15th to the 20th floor, we will pre-populate the app with the floors that are required. So I'll just go in here. For the purpose of today, I'll go into first floor. Again, we've also heard from our clients that potentially floors may not be ready, even though they were scheduled for that assessment, and the mechanic can still proceed with the rest of the inspection, basically just either opting into a floor if it's ready or opting out to a floor if it's not ready. For today, I'm just going to opt in for this and then go through the 3 checklist items that are here. So landings, boarding, lighting, and communication. Again, looking at that sample photo. I'll take that photo. Save and exit. I will go into landing openings, just looking to make sure that that's that photo I need. Take that photo again. Hit save and exit, and then car landing, sales, and clearance as well. All right, so I'm done with the first floor at this point, and you'll see my progress has changed to in progress instead of pending, and I still have the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th floor. So I'm going to opt out of these right now. Go. And I am done with floors added. And again, you can see it's changed to completed, and I could complete these out of order. So the last section I wanted to draw everyone's attention to is in additional inspection evidence. So if you see, most of these are structured checklists. So general top of car slack rope switch. We did want to provide the ability to add any photo that is required. So if anything is out of the ordinary, anything you'd like to highlight to the safety officer, you can opt out to doing this, so not applicable, or you can opt in. For today, I will opt out. And you can take this photo, leave any notes, add additional photos. You can take multiple photos of anything that you like and add additional notes. Actually, I would like to show that. So take the photo. I can add some notes here. So notes, and then I can add another photo, which pops up at the bottom. I can again take another photo and add any notes. Notes 2. So we can see here, I've taken 2 photos, added 2 sets of notes, and I'm going to save and exit. And I'm completed. So that is what the mechanic would need to do at the assessment. I'm not going to go and complete all of this. I do have one that we can use. It's not this one. So in this assessment, we've gone through all of the steps, and we've taken all of the photos, and we've done all of the declarations, and I am ready for a submission. So again, the mechanic can work in offline mode. You don't need an internet connection, but when you are at the submit assessment stage, you will need an internet connection, because that needs to, that will be, all of the data that's stored in this app will need to be sent to Technical Safety BC, and you do need a data connection for that. I'm going to go ahead and click submit assessment. Here, I'll make some more. Sorry, I declare that all photos being submitted were taken by me or a member of my team for the purposes of this assessment. I declare that this information is accurately represents the condition of the site at the time of the submission. I'm going to go ahead and click on both of these. You'll also notice that photos taken and submitted through this app are only taken through the the native camera, so the local camera. You actually can't upload from the gallery, so that will stop any clients who would like to upload from the gallery. It's just taken purely from the phone's camera. Go ahead and add any phone number here. And a certificate number. I'm going to double check all of this and then click on submit assessment. Just a quick confirmation, your submission is ready to be submitted. Click on confirm. I would recommend being on Wi-Fi when submitting an assessment, just because of the number of photos taken, unless you have quite a large internet plan. This might take some time, but the assessment should be going through. And that is really it. So that is the remote assessment app in a nutshell. It will be, but I hope all of you enjoyed that. The team and I are really excited to go with our prototype, and then obviously to explore future use cases. So with that, I would actually like to, the team and I would like to receive your thoughts on the remote assessments app through a series of polling questions. So the questions will pop up on your screen. We'll take a few minutes to allow you time to answer the polls. And please note that all answers provided are going to be anonymous and will not share them live today. The polls should be popping up anytime now. So what technology or technologies do you currently work with? And then check all that apply. See, we're about 50% participated. I'll give it a couple more seconds here. Okay, I think we're slowing down on the participation, so I'll move on to the next question. So using a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being extremely unlikely and 5 being extremely likely, how likely are you to use a remote assessment app if it was made available for the assessment type technology that you work on? And this is more of a free text open question, which is what features would you like this app to have? So we currently have the ability to provide photos and submit declarations, but is there anything else you'd like to have? Okay, I think, thank you all. Let's move on to the last one. What other functions would you like this app to do? So currently we are doing remote assessments on construction hoist extensions. But what other inspection types do you think would be useful for this app, or just other use cases? Give me another couple seconds here. And again, we won't be sharing the results of this at the session today at least, but potentially in the future once we've taken this away. But again, thank you all for your participation in our polls. You see participation slowing down, so we can probably end the poll. Alrighty. Thank you, everyone.
Great, thanks so much, Gabe. We're now going to go over to our Q&A period. It looks like we already have received some questions, but we would also like to welcome you to submit any questions that you might have using the Q&A function. So a few questions have already come in about the app. So this one will go over to Gabe. Someone wanted to know if users will be able to add photos that have already been taken.
Oh, so from the photo gallery. At this point in time, the photos will only be taken from the like the phone's camera. So we are not allowing the ability to upload a photo from a gallery. We would look at that in the future, but right now that's our approach. We wouldn't want the ability for someone to upload a photo from a different site or from a previous inspection until we understand more about user behavior within the app.
Great, and then another question about the app. Does the remote assessment app have the ability to utilize videos, or is it only photos at this point?
Oh yeah, great question. At this point, it is, I mean, let's bear in mind, it is a prototype. So it's not the full bells and whistles version yet. And we're gonna release it for a limited time in the limited inspection space. So at this point in time, it's just photos. We will be looking at incorporating videos in the future. As you can imagine, that is a different, a whole other feature set that we need to incorporate and then figure out spacing and storage and everything. But in the future, it's going to be explored.
Great, thank you. This one I think will be Lisa's. We hear contractors and safety officers within the industry talk about inspections, and we hear Technical Safety BC talk about assessments. Do safety officers do assessments or inspections, or do they do both? Can you explain the difference that a new contractor would need to know? As a contractor, do I request an inspection or an assessment?
The short answer is that safety officers do both. So assessments, we use that because it's an umbrella term to capture the entire range of services to get something looked at and then to a result. It includes inspections. So all inspections are assessments, but not all assessments are inspections. Where you can see the differentiator is when things come through, and as you heard in our overview of structured resource allocation, sometimes things are system assessed. And so a safety officer has not looked at it at the time of the recommendation from the system. They do eventually, and it could be waived. And so that doesn't result in an actual inspection, but it is still assessed in a certain capacity. On the other end, we also do things like audits, which are a more complex type of inspection, but we call them audits. We also do investigations and other types of reviews into files. They're also a little bit outside of the category of inspections, but those things are also still assessed. So either terminology works, but assessments is the broader category of what we do.
Fantastic. Thank you, Lisa. Another question to Gabe. Will multiple employees be able to access the same assessment through the app? If a contractor has multiple employees working on a site, will each of them be able to upload photos to the same assessment?
Yeah, really good question. So I'm just gonna, there's two things there. One, the contractor will have the ability to view photos and declarations of the mechanics. So once mechanics take the photos and submit them to the safety officer, the contractor will have that view. That is part of our plans for the after the prototype. With respect to several mechanics working on the same assessment, for right now, at least, that is not in scope because the assessment is tied to one mechanic's certificate and certificate ID. It can be something we look at in the future, but right now that's not in scope, at least for the next few steps in our prototype.
Thank you. Lots of questions about the app here. Another question for Gabe. How do you prevent submission of photos that are not actually from the listed assessment location?
Oh, that's a, yeah, really great question. So two things here. One, that is why we pushed for the native camera to be the only way to upload photos to the app. Obviously, that's not foolproof. I do see someone mentioning geotagging in here. Geotagging is accurate to a certain degree. What geotagging won't be able to do is number of floors. So like you could go be on the 5th floor, the 10th floor, geotagging will not help with that. So in the short term, this is a really challenging problem to obviously resolve. What we can do is only allow in-app native camera, so you can upload from a photo gallery. And then also we have timestamps. So every time an event happens, like a photo is taken, there's a timestamp. And on our back end, if photos are taken too quickly together or uploaded too quickly together, we can see that there's timestamps there. There might be something worth exploring or digging a little bit deeper. And then in the long term, we will be exploring how to utilize geotagging, knowing its limitations. So it might be a combination of things to address this. But in the short term, at least for the prototype, it will be the native app and then event tracking on our backend.
Great. And then will the app be linked to existing online accounts?
Yes. Well, you require client portal ID to sign into the app. And then once you submit the app, you will receive the certificate of inspection, the C of I, and that will be tied to your existing IDs with Technical Safety BC.
I think we probably have time for maybe one or two more. So I think if there are any more that come in after that, we will definitely get to answering them on the Engage page, but this is probably all we'll have time for today. Will the app at some point in time in the future use AI features to detect initial equipment damage, wear and tear, and flag these initial hazards for safety officers?
Yeah, I mean, so that is the intent. We have several success metrics for this app. Obviously, some are more client-centric, so satisfaction, improving efficiency, accuracy of the site is, are we keeping the the site safe? Are we keeping, are we looking at these equipment in the right way? On the other side, some are internal. One of our big success metrics is actually, can we improve our collection of data? And can we improve our ability to sort data, aggregate data, and to use things like AI to start detecting? In order to get there, we needed to do a couple of things. One, we needed to gather as many photos of the same types of equipment, which is why we've moved to this structured approach of the assessment, step 1, step 2, step 3. And we needed that photo to be taken in the right way, which is why we have those example photos in the app as well. And then just the last thing, now that we have this in-app labeling mechanism, we are able to quickly label and sort photos. We just need to get a large enough database of photos, and then we can begin. I say it like it's coming around the corner, but it will be a longer term plan of using AI to spot hazard detection. More of a long term plan, but really, really great question.
Thanks so much.
Else?
I think that's probably all we have time for today.
I do see, can our company volunteer take part of your test trials of the app? Definitely. If you are interested in participating in the app, please get in touch. I think on the Engage page should be a way for you to volunteer, and then I or someone from the team will be reaching out to you.
Perfect. Thank you so much for that. Big thank you to our panelists. Thanks for all the insights, Lisa, Shiv, and Gabe. I know we're really looking forward to seeing the future of assessments. So with that, I'd like to bring our session to a close. Thank you everyone for attending and sharing your insights into remote assessment. I want to remind you all that a recording of this session will be available in the coming weeks on our website. So please feel free to share this with your colleagues and your network. Lastly, we do have some upcoming events for you to get involved in and share your thoughts. You can learn more about these events and how we're transforming assessment by visiting us at Engage.technicalsafetybc.ca. Thank you all again for attending and have a great day.